Next, after plumbing, comes the electrical section. So we'll go ahead and go residential report, electric. So as we're viewing the outside of the home, we'll want to come to the electric panel. Section, and we'll want to include a picture of the meter. And then later on in the inspection, we'll want to include a picture of the outside of the panel, and then the inside of the panel. Occasionally, other inspectors will leave their sticker on the panel. So if they do that, just go ahead and take a picture that does not include their inspection sticker. Most of the rest of this section is fairly standard, fairly easy to fill out. What kind of wiring do they have? Some of it's always going to be not visible. Most of it's going to be in conduit or in Romex. However, we want to be careful for cloth wiring and knob and tube wiring. Next, on the amps section, we're going to take the lower of either the main breaker or the max rated size on the electric panel. In this home, it was 125 amps. Sometimes you won't be able to tell. Maybe it's a split breaker and the sticker's worn off. So if it's unknown, it's unknown. Next is the manufacturer. It should be on the panel. Occasionally, it won't be. If you can see that a lot of breakers are all the same brand, like Eaton or Square D, you can go ahead and assume that it's that. But unknown, if they don't specify on the panel or you can't find it, is acceptable. Next, on the type, most are going to be circuit breaker, but if you see a panel of fuses, go ahead and check that. Occasionally, you'll have multiple panels. We've even seen it where one is a circuit breaker and one is fuse, so you'll go ahead and check both of those. Same thing up here on the manufacturer. You may have a Sylvania panel and a Zinsco. Next, subpanel location, just noting where the subpanel's at. If there is one, if there's not, go ahead and check NA. On service grounding, typically we're just going to leave that checked as not visible. Next, on your 120 volt wiring and 240, typically it's going to be copper, although if you're looking at homes in the 60s and 70s, it may be aluminum. Electrical upgrade probability, most of the time it's usually low. However, if they have one of the recalled panels, which is going to be a Federal Pacific panel or a Zinsco panel, Bulldog panel, there's a couple of others, we're going to go ahead and mark it as high. Alternatively, if they have a panel that is a fuse panel, it's going to be high. The electrical upgrade probability will be high. If you see something that's a little bit sketchy, you can go ahead and use medium. Next, specialty breakers, either they have them or they don't. So go ahead and check or uncheck as needed. And then if there's a generator, a light timer, surge protector, solar panels, anything else like that, go ahead and check those and add pictures. It is somewhat common to have a blocked panel, especially if it's in the garage, or if we're unable to remove the panel cover because of either strip screws or stuff in the way, we can go ahead and check those boxes and add pictures. Next, on these, it's fairly straightforward. Just go ahead and go down the list. It's very common to see missing labels on the panel, knockouts, anti-oxidation gel for aluminum wires, and grommets missing. So keep an eye out for those. If we have a recalled panel, it's going to go right here under panel with known issues. We have it as Federal Pacific, but if you want, you can always go ahead and come in and delete this and type in something new if it's a different type of panel. So just go down the list. You're going to want to be familiar with all these things. Hopefully there's not too many of them, but go ahead and know what it is. If you have any questions, just go down the list. Next in the electric section is going to be our outlets and switches. They're always going to have 140, almost always have 240. They will all have 120. They almost all will have 240 for the dryer. And a lot of older houses will be a 2-3 pin ungrounded, where they use a 3-prong outlet, but it's wired. Only the hot and the neutral are wired. The ground is not. On GFCI locations, either they have them or they don't. On a lot of newer homes, the answer is going to be none or NA, because they've gone ahead and used breakers, GFCI breakers, instead of GFCI outlets. Now, if it's an older home that doesn't have any, go ahead and mark predates. But also, over in evaluations and repairs, we're going to go ahead and add, find it real quick, GFCI outlets right here. There are not GFCI outlets and one or more errors we would normally expect. And then you can go ahead and add a location right there also. Next is lighting. Typically just leave this alone, but you can go ahead and update it, especially if they've got chandelier, fluorescent lights, or something that's not already pre-checked. Now under evaluations and repairs, this is a much longer list than the water heater or the electric panels, so definitely scroll through this whenever you get time. The first, let's say, down to temporary wiring uses permanent wiring are all pretty common, but you'll want to go ahead and familiarize yourself with this entire list, and that way you can be prepared for anything that comes up. And that's how we do our electrical section. If you have any questions, please reach out.